Washington, D.C. has failed on this issue of border security and immigration for decades. And it's been crisis after crisis.
Other than the open hydrant of federal spending, no issue more reflects the complete collapse of responsible government than the migrant mess, which now stretches from Texas to Martha's Vineyard.
Is the border safe? Now I was watching a news channel and they were talking about an invasion was happening, and I got a little concerned.
The border is secure.
What's happening at the southern border is an invasion. How could it not be? More than 2 million people have been apprehended there in the past year. Today, with the midterms imminent, Democrats are on defense.
You know, when the president decided he was going to do something dumb on this and change the rules, that would create a bigger crisis, I told him he was wrong.
Joe Biden's border czar, Kamala Harris, has not visited the border since June last year. And as another busload of migrants was dropped off outside her residence in D.C. last week, she was in Texas to talk about abortion.
I'm just so thrilled to be with all of you and to be back here.
It's fair to say both the president and vice president have checked out completely on this issue.
The border czar, Congress, the White House have squandered a golden opportunity to forge a distinguished legacy as champions for immigration and border security.
In the meantime, in sanctuary cities such as New York City, construction of a huge migrant tent was underway in the Bronx, with the mayor declaring a state of emergency.
We are in a crisis situation. New York City now has more than 61,000 people in our shelter system. That includes thousands of New Yorkers experiencing homelessness and thousands of asylum seekers who have been bussed in over the past few months from other parts of the country.
When Florida Republican Governor Ron DeSantis started flying migrants to Martha's Vineyard last month, Democrats and the press said he'd face a backlash over human trafficking. Since then, a Spectrum News Siena poll found half of Floridians support the flights.
They're sanctuary jurisdictions when they use that to virtue signal against Donald Trump. Now that they're actually being called upon to be true sanctuary jurisdictions, they don't like that very much.
Those of us who live in the New York City area see the Statue of Liberty a lot. It's impressive every time, and virtually all Americans know what it represents. But as migrants fleeing communist dictatorships such as Cuba and Nicaragua, plus Venezuela, pour into the Rio Grande River, that core idea of escaping to liberty, altogether unique to America, is getting crushed, maybe irreparably.
Is it really that difficult to sit down and have a conversation where the governors and the president sit down and have a conversation?
The current migrant fiasco is a national embarrassment, and progressive Democrats who've self-defined as pro-immigrant have been unmasked as a fraud.
Well, I believe that we have to have a secure border. And I think that we are trying to address, the president has a plan to address that.
Republicans should not want to be a party to this embarrassment, but years of policy gridlock means they are, both politically and morally. And while Democrats and much of the media label them anti-immigrant, their argument that it's largely about the rule of law stands.
You have massive numbers of illegal aliens pouring across the border, record sex trafficking, record human trafficking, record drug trafficking. The fentanyl that China is making to poison our society is getting into this country through the southern border. And now we have the leading cause of death for people 18 to 45 is overdose from fentanyl. So it's been a policy disaster, but it's also been a constitutional disaster.
Democrats in border states may pay politically in November for Mr. Biden's nonfeasance on the migrant surge. But this tragic mess will remain, with most Americans wondering when their political leaders will resolve it in a way that honors the ideas the crisis is dishonoring: the border, the law, liberty, and opportunity.